Welcome to the hunting grounds. Moten, my boy! You certainly surprised me with how badass you were in this chapter. Holy hell. This man, straight up, he's outnumbered. Like, this man's completely outnumbered. Like, 30,000 troops against his 5,000 troops. And this man, he's doing hit and run tactics. He's charging in with only 2,500 men. Actually, he split those forces probably into, like, half of that. Probably charged in with 500 to 1,000 men, or even 1,500. Charged in, and then he retreated, and then the rest of his men, of the 2,500, they attacked from the side. And so, just Moten, that's a ballsy move. Very, very ballsy move that you just pulled. Because I think one of the hardest things for any soldier is definitely to retreat, but then lead the enemy into a certain position to where your allies can come in and just steamroll them. I think I'm not the only one that has probably used these tactics in a game. Now, I know war is completely different from a game. However, in gaming, first-person shooters, RPGs, whatever you play, sometimes you must lead the enemy team into an ambush for you can win. And this is how I play mini games. For instance, you just bait the enemy team to follow after you, and as they think they're gonna win, they're like, oh, he's almost dead, he's almost dead, he's almost dead. They're about to get that kill on you. They straight up get wrecked because your allies come in fully healed and all that, and just steamroll all of them. That's basically what Moten just did. In video game logic, that's what he did. He baited them in. It looked like he was about to lose everything, but then as they were baited, they just got wrecked from the side because they just weren't ready. They weren't prepared for it because their soldiers were more focused on the target in front of them. They got greedy, and they got wrecked in the side. So I like that. I like how Moten used that to his advantage. He's making it to where they get greedy for the kill. They get greedy to wipe them out because they have the numbers. They do. They have the numbers. If they got around Moten's army, Moten would be basically fucked. Like, this man is done because if he's completely surrounded with those men, he's not getting out alive. His entire man, his army, they're dead. But with his hit-and-run tactics, charging in and then running away before they get surrounded, and as you see the opponents chasing after, another army could come through the woods or whatever and just strike them in the side, fuck them over, and then rinse and repeat. You can continuously do this back and forth. And so I like how Moten is using this to his advantage, and this is something that we kind of have seen done in the past with Moten. Moten has done hit-and-run tactics before with his soldiers, and this fits with how he fights. And also, I like one of the big messages of this chapter, which many might have noticed or might not have noticed. I don't know. It just depends on the comments below and how many of you recognize this. But think about what Moten is doing right now, okay? Think about how important this fight on the left wing is, or the right wing of Zal. Think about how important this fight is. Yes, if that wing falls, that man on that side can just completely attack the center or the right wing, and it would be very bad for Quinn. But think about it like this, okay? If Moten is able to completely just make it to where all of these soldiers on the right, or their left wing, the enemy's right wing, focus on that side with just 5,000 men. If he can stall 30,000 men with 5,000 men, he's doing a good job. Because that means that there's less soldiers focusing on the center or on the right wing of Quinn. So that gives Osen more time to work with and what he can do, his next move to counter with. So it's kind of like he's throwing Moten out there for the dogs. Like, here's a scrap of meat for all of you, of Zal soldiers. Go kill him. Kill his ass. Like, here you go. This man is bait. He is barely anything. He is someone that has a very small army compared to what you have right now. Go after him. Kill his ass. But that, right there, is their downfall. Because when they see that juicy meat, obviously they're going to want to run for it. But this juicy meat's not going to want to go down quickly. He's going to fight back. He's going to use hit-and-run tactics. And he is going to stall as much time as possible before he probably falls. I feel like the more I look at this, it seems like Osen is setting up Moten as more of a sacrificial pawn. For instance, since they're playing a game of chess right now, it's kind of like that's how he's setting him up. Stalling the enemy, like, let's say a pawn, okay? Let's look at this as chess standards. Moten is a pawn. He's a pawn on the chessboard. And you have it to where the enemy side, the Zal's right wing, that they're facing our left wing, Zhao right now, they have like a bunch of bishops and rooks on their side, okay, over there, facing Moten, which is a pawn. If this one single pawn could hold back a rook and a bishop, then he's doing a damn good job. That pawn is freaking ridiculous to be able to hold off those power pieces of the entire match of a chessboard game. So when you look at it like that, you're like, okay, so that's probably what Osun is doing. He's making it to where Moten is just stalling for time. And that's the big objective here. Remember, at the end of the day, if Yo falls, Riboku loses. It's G for him. Now, obviously, Osun could die as well, and everybody else can lose too, and they could die, and that's GG for them too. But, I mean, if Gyo falls, and then Yotama wins her fight, and all of that, supply chain gets set up, reinforcements come in, and then Osun's army gets just reinforced, and it would not be good for Riboku at all. So right now, it's kind of like Osun, he's stalling time, but also using Moten as a pawn, and if this pawn is a really good pawn, instead of just stalling, but can make it to the other side, he could possibly turn into something else, maybe a rook or a bishop. You get my point. What I'm getting at is that if he gets to the other side, if somehow he could chip away these people, the soldiers on the right wing, Zhao's right wing, and chip them away to the point to where he can get around, he could probably attack the enemy headquarters. And that could make, like, a really interesting change in the warfare going on. And then also, Shin could go around as well and help out Moten's forces. Because right now, Shin is in a position to where he can go in any direction on the battlefield. He's like the queen, in this case, of the battlefield. He can go left, he can go right, he can go straight, he can stay back. That's where, you know, Shin is right now on the battlefield, his entire army. They ain't gonna be any peace right now. They are the big power play. They're hiding behind everything, not because they're scared or Osun thinks they're weak or useless. He's actually hiding them because he realizes the potential of Shin and his entire army. They are an arrow. They're someone that gets shit done, and they're the type of group that does things that are not normally normal. They do tactics that you normally wouldn't think of. And so he's using Shin's group, his army, as someone that is the power piece that will change the tide of the battlefield. For instance, if Moten's getting his shit pushed in, he's going to probably send Shin over there to back him up and flank around, take out that part of the army. Or if Moten does his job, instead of just stalling the pieces, and he manages to get to the other side of the chessboard, then he could send Shin around to attack the right wing. With, you know, the right wing of Quinn. He can help out right wing, attack the left wing of Zhao, or if things get even worse in the mid, he can be pushed up to the front to, you know, reinforce Osun's army, his front lines. That's kind of the position that Shin is in right now, how important he is on the battlefield, and he will eventually realize this. That's the role he is playing right now. He is the reserve. He is the backup. He is someone that's going to be there to change a battlefield, but he can only be used once, and Osun is very aware of this. When he sends Shin out to, let's say, the left wing or the right wing, that's the only time he can use him. For instance, when whatever side he goes on, he cannot back up the other side. So he's waiting to see where the fight goes. If the left wing can hold on long enough and chip off some people, but also make it to where they could push even further into the lands and continuously use guerrilla tactics, then he might send him over there to whoop his ass. For instance, send Shin over there to whoop all their ass, take that, and then they could reinforce the center or even flank HQ. So, really good stuff going on here in this chapter, and I like how Osun is using that type of method, how he's making it to where 5,000 men, or in this case 2,500 men, are distracting 30k men. That is absolutely insane, but it's effective. It's very effective, and that is why this is such an important battlefield right now. Why the left wing is so important, because if he can stall and the other fights go well, they can reinforce Moten, he would be fine. But I feel like at the end of the day, before everything is said and done, Moten is probably going to lose a lot of people. I could see people close to him dying. Maybe even Moten himself might die in this exchange, because he's not going to come out unscathed. This man is going to probably face a lot of wounds. His soldiers are probably going to die, because this is not something you just walk away from with, you know, no wounds at all. Because 30,000 men against 5,000, regardless of how intelligent you are, how smart you are with your tactics, and how you use guerrilla warfare, it doesn't change the fact that numbers do matter in this series. It does. We have seen time and time again, numbers do matter. I mean, at the end of the day, they do. They do matter. So there is a possibility that Moten might even die Maybe it's a C, but he could still die. So we'll see where it goes. We got to see where Kingdoms series goes. But let me know your honest thoughts in the comments below. And I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.